Hi everyone, this is Alejandro Cremades, and today we're going to be talking about the common mistakes that entrepreneurs make when fundraising. So fundraising is tough, it's challenging, and also if you do not understand well the story, the process, and how to fulfill concerns, there's going to be always, the common mistakes that you're going to be making. So the idea of today's video is really to give you an understanding of what are those typical mistakes that entrepreneurs make in the journey of raising the money and how to avoid them. So with that being said, let's get into it. So one of the mistakes that I see is demanding pricey valuations. So essentially going out to market with a valuation that may not really adjust to what the market is paying. I think that if you go out, either with a valuation that is off market, meaning that maybe like your competitors are raising at maybe like half of that or maybe like much less than that, then you're really putting yourself in a position where the expectations are going to be high and it's going to be very tough, and you're sending a signal where you're not really sure or really know of what you're doing. And the same comes with the amount that you're raising. If, for example, you're in New York or you're in San Francisco and you're, let's say, doing a seed round and you're raising 500,000 rather than the average 2 million, then already you're telling the market that you're underfunding yourself. So when it comes to numbers and also valuations, make sure that you've done your homework and take a look at some of your direct and indirect competitors so that you have an understanding and have some type of benchmarks in terms of really pricing your round. The next common mistake is really negotiating against yourself. The last thing that you want is when you are, let's say, out there, you're speaking with investors, and then all of a sudden the question comes around, hey, what is your valuation? Have you thought about your valuation, or what kind of valuation are you thinking for this round? The mistake that entrepreneurs always make is talking first. You do not want to throw out their valuation, because essentially what's going to happen is that, let's say, if you go out with an answer that says 15 million valuation, then the investor probably is going to tell you, well, we think this is 10 million. They're going to negotiate you down. So just try to shift it around. Try maybe to answer to that saying that you're just seeking some partnerships here rather than really negotiating, where in a negotiation there's always someone that loses and someone that wins, that you want really this to be a successful partnership where everyone wins. And maybe doing that, you're actually asking them to really throw in their evaluation so that you don't have to talk. And with that being said, when they throw the number, essentially if they say 10, maybe you negotiate them up and you throw 15, and maybe you meet in the middle. So by them speaking first, you're really saving yourself the opportunity of really negotiating them up rather than them negotiating you down if you're talking first. The next mistake or the next common, issue that I find on entrepreneurs is really not building a network. Building a network is critical. Fundraising is all about building trust with the parties that are going to be potentially interested in investing in your business. And with that being said, you want to make sure that you're building your network way before you actually need the money. And a good way to do this is just taking a look at who are the investors that have been very actively investing in your segment for the past 12 months, and perhaps you grab those indirect competitors and that have received an investment from that investor in the last 6 to 12 months, and you ultimately use them as a way to get the foot in the door, to get into the circle of trust, and to really reduce the amount of time that it takes from first touch point to money in the bank. And that is how you build your network. You can also do so by going to conferences, but really there is no excuse for not being able to get in front of investors, because right now we live in a world that is super connected, super transparent, and you can see at all times who is investing in what. The next common mistake is really pitch decks. Really storytelling is everything when it comes to really fundraising. You want to make sure that you have an amazing pitch deck that in 15 to 20 slides is really capturing the essence of your business. And again, below you're going to find a pitch deck template that you can just grab and use for yourself. But essentially, really storytelling, is really what is going to make it or break it. Remember that on average, investors only spend 2 minutes and 41 seconds per presentation. That's it. They're just going to be skimming through it, and then at the end of it, they're going to be able to really understand if you're going to be worthy of another meeting or just even a first meeting or not. So for that reason, you want to make sure that you follow a really good flow, a really good structure, and that you really keep the balance between the amount of visuals and the amount of text that you use. I mean, typically for sending, emails with a presentation, you want to have it a little bit more robust in terms of content. And if you're, let's say, pitching at an event or at a conference, or maybe even in front of the investor itself, you want that presentation to be more on visuals and less on text, so that you can keep the eye on you and they can connect with you, because that connection is super important. The next common mistake is really not selling yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we are all walking brands. If you take a look at a company like Facebook, that's Mark Zuckerberg. Apple, that's Steve Jobs. You got to sell yourself. And again, this is sales. Fundraising is sales. You need to keep an airtight process, and you need to really know where every single lead, every single prospect is in that pipeline. And you need to pipeline and really walk them from one phase to the next phase, because really it's all about going from intro to money in the bank. And your real intention, or the way that you should aim at doing this, is that every single interaction with an investor that you have, it needs to have a call to action. Forget about the let me know what you think, look forward to your comments. You gotta always finish every single interaction with, are you available next week or the following for a catch-up meeting? Because you're gonna be following up. You're gonna be following up with exciting updates on the team, press mentions, milestones. So every follow-up that is adding value, make sure that it's really ending with a call to action to get you to the next meeting. Because remember, fundraising is all about addressing concerns, and the more meetings that you get, the more concerns that you're able to resolve, and the more concerns that you resolve, the closer that you are to the money. The next common mistake is non-disclosure agreements. I mean, the NDAs at the end of the day, and this comes from me, that I'm a recovering lawyer, still seeking therapy, is that at the end of the day, really, an NDA is not, you're not really going to be able to enforce it, because, I mean, it's always subject to interpretation, right? So I find that those entrepreneurs that just for having an introductory meeting with an investor and they go with the NDA, you're going to essentially tell the investor that you're a rookie, that this is the first time that you do it. You are only pulling the NDA card once you have gotten that interest from the investor and things are progressing well enough into a due diligence process where they're going to have access to sensitive information. Until then, just refrain from putting any type of NDA in front of them. You want to make the process frictionless, and you do not want to add more friction to the actual process. The next common mistake, obviously, is not connecting at a personal level. Every single first meeting that you have, make sure that you've really researched, like, what are they tweeting about? What kind of groups do they follow on LinkedIn or maybe on Facebook? Maybe like they went to your same college, or maybe like they are supporting the same sports team that you're supporting. And essentially, on every call, first call, you want to build that background relatedness. You want to connect at a personal level and really see you as that individual that they're going to have fun, maybe like having a drink outside of work. Because these venture capital firms specifically, or any type of investor, they want to do business with people that they enjoy and that they like. So with that being said, don't go straight into the pitch deck, into the business discussion. Try to keep it personal at the beginning, and then naturally it's going to smoothly transition into the business talk. The next common mistake that I see is not focusing on the network behind the money. At the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about, you got to turn it around, and it's all about the network that that individual that is giving you the money has, because you're going to be able to leverage that network to achieve your milestones much faster. Whether that is for distribution, business development deals, partnerships, you want to have investors that are adding value. And again, remember that I know that you need the money today. But right now, like getting the money from someone that is not going to be giving you that type of activity, that type of value. Ultimately, what you're doing is you are putting a band-aid on an injury that it's going to require surgery later on. So just make sure that you're accepting the money from the right investor, and also that that investor is in it for the right reasons. Lastly, like the last mistake that I really see that is very common is not being familiar with the terms. You see entrepreneurs that just want to get it done very quickly, that they don't really review in detail with their corporate lawyer the structure and what some of those clauses really mean. And unfortunately, in many instances, maybe one of those clauses doesn't mean much to you now, but perhaps in 5 to 10 years, that specific clause can get you kicked out of the business. So for that reason, you want to have a lawyer that is not a family lawyer or your cousin or your uncle. It needs to be a corporate lawyer that has done rounds of financing many, many times, and that can have your back and explain you and walk you through what everything means. So with that being said, hopefully you like this video. Make sure that you click the like button, leave a comment, and also subscribe so that you don't miss out on all the videos that we're rolling out every week. And also don't forget to take a look at the fundraising training, which is the program where we help entrepreneurs every step of the way from A all the way to C with everything related to fundraising. We have there live Q&As, templates, agreements, a community of founders all over the world helping each other, and I think that you would find tremendous value in it. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching.